we are 1 minute early for optimistic opportunities, so we'll just hang out here for just another minute or so we can get people into our Facebook business page. I am Carl with Carl Johnson Real Estate at Coldwell Banker HBW, and this is Optimistic Opportunities. And I am so excited to welcome our guest this week, Christi Bintliff. And yes, we did coordinate colors, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Christi Bintliff is just such a near and dear friend of mine for many years since I started Durham Magazine for the Shannons. And we got to know each other as she's the practice manager at Crosdale Dental Arts here in Durham. She has also just launched her dental consulting firm called Leap 2 Solutions, where she's now helping other dental firms with their success. But we're not here to talk about our businesses. We're here to talk about optimistic opportunities. And Christi is just such a gem that she was like, Carl, I'm going to wear yellow because it's the optimistic color. And I was like, I have one yellow shirt. I said, I'll pull it out. And we got on the screen before this started today. I was like, oh, mine's really muted. So welcome, Christi. Welcome your non-muted self. You're just awesome and so optimistic. When I was creating this list, there were, certain people that I really wanted to make sure that I got in on this. And you, of course, were at the very tippy top of that list because of your positive drive is infectious and inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it, the opportunity, because I feel like when we talk with one another, your energy and mine, we mirror each other, and it's always a good time. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you so much. So I'm just going to jump on in with a question. So what new goals have come to mind because you've experienced this reset with COVID? And the reason I ask you that question first, and I don't over talk about that silver lining thing, but the reason I ask you that question first is because I find you to be such a goal-oriented person. So I'm really personally interested and jazzed about what new goals have come to your mind because you've experienced this new reset. You are an agile person that thrives on challenge. So I'm sure you've got something there.
Well, where some people shy away from situations like this, I look at it obviously as an opportunity to grow and experience different things. And so it also, while I was growing in one area, it required me to slow it down a little bit in the personal life. So in my business here at Crosdale Dental Arts, I've got a structured routine that's, but you have to be fluid and adaptable. But when COVID happened, everything that I do in the given day, just that went to the side. And then it was all of a sudden, it was preparing a business to close, preparing a business to reopen. And in the meantime, even though I was working, it was at a slower pace. So some new goals came about for me personally, and that was to finish launching my business and doing the social media there, but also to tap into my creative side. I love gardening, and I actually had the actual energy and time to get out and spend it with my husband. And we've been doing a lot of landscaping, and I love to thrift. I love finding old things and repurposing them and making it something amazing that nobody would think about. And I love to share that with people because sometimes we get so inside of our box and our comfort zone that we're not willing to step out of that and try something new. And so this kind of gave me an opportunity to try these other things that I'd been wanting to, like cooking. I never, when I work a full-time job while also trying to launch my business, I was really exhausted at the end of the day. And this gave me an opportunity to get back to cooking. And I love, trying new recipes and just having that time with my husband over a glass of wine. So those were some new goals that I'd been wanting to do for a long time, and I kind of got to bring them forthcoming. But at the same time, I was able to help a lot of people that didn't really know how to adjust to this new situation in their business. They were scared, they were apprehensive, and I had the opportunity, and it wasn't about my business, it was about me as a person, taking my positive and optimistic view of life and just talking with them and coaching them along. And that's been the most rewarding thing for me during this whole thing, is just to see them start feeling relaxed, like I can do this, I can push through this, and I can make it. And to see them be able to reopen, it was amazing. And I got some really good friendships through that. Maybe where I just knew them as an acquaintance, and through this journey just developed some really great friendships. And the same applies with my bosses here, because when you go through something like this, you see each other on a different level. And your positivity is what people that are having anxiety, they need that optimism. So and it continues as we go along this.
And I think the one thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning, as I always like to make sure that I mention it, I understand a lot of people are still having a really hard time.
Yes.
Their business is not open, or their job is not back. A lot of people are starting to go back though.
Yes.
But they're still hurting financially from the loss of the many months of lost income, or they're no longer renting where they are renting. They
Right.
have to move back home.
That's right.
Or something like that. So I've run into people, in different situations, and what I do where, yes, that property is being sold now, but it's being sold because all the people that used to live there can't afford to live there and pay rent anymore.
Right.
So they've moved on to do something else. So it's had a lot of hardships on people. So I just wanted to make sure that I did respectfully recognize that also.
Yeah, I've experienced the same thing with friends that are not able to reopen, as we just discussed. And life is full of ebbs and flows. I personally experience that, even though I'm a very positive person. There are times where you get in challenging situations, and then the one that is optimistic is seeking someone else that's optimistic to help pull them along. And I think that's just life. So I try to help these people and point them in another direction, because I believe that when one door closes, another one opens. And God, sometimes he just redirects you. And it's about life. We're just redirecting. We're finding ourselves in this journey, which I think is amazing, because where I am now is not the person that I was like 5 or 10 years ago. You're learning, you're growing, you're trying new things, you're stepping out of your comfort zone all the time. And I love that. I love that, because I think life is meant to be lived. It's not to be meant to be confined in a box.
Right. Exactly. So I have another question for you.
Oh my. I never know what you're coming with.
Right. So how can this experience make a positive impact on your life and others?
So, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
So for me, when I started this journey with COVID and closing our practice here, which we were closed for 2 months, I thought, I am not made for this. I am not mentally, I'm not knowledgeable enough to take this journey, because it was so much coming at you. It was this and that, and then it was all of this stuff, and trying to get the PPP loan and all these things that were coming. And I just had to take a day, and I just told my bosses, I've got to step back, because sometimes I think it's okay to step back from a situation and just absorb what's going on, and then I kick into strategy. Let's see what we're dealing with, form the strategy, and see the future that's coming and move forward with it. And that's what's been really helpful with that for me here, and with helping other people. And I never knew the strength that I had until I went through this. And I've been through some challenging times, as many of us have through life. But this, I felt the weight of my practice, my team, my doctors. I felt it all on my shoulders. And then I'm trying to deal with the personal aspect of how this is going to affect us, my husband and I personally. And I learned so much about me, and I learned so much about other people in this time, because you really had time to connect. I think in life, we're just moving so fast that it's, hey, we're getting into the details. But this time we got the opportunity to have some really in-depth conversations. Like, I know my boss is on a totally different level, and the same, and my staff, as we've been through this. And that's been the greatest takeaway from this, is just learning that we need to pause for a moment. We need to really connect with people, because I think life moves too fast and we don't often do that. It was a blessing that you and I met, 2008, I think it was. And
right.
we just instantly connected, and we've I'm getting emotional. But we've always just I just try to take away from that, because sometimes I think we're moving too fast and we don't take that time. And people are really interesting when you really get to sit down and talk with them. Wow, there's some really interesting people out there, and you see them on a different level when you take that time.
Right. So, one thing I also wanted to sort of talk about, because we're fairly similar people in a way. Like, I think when we met, we almost like met ourselves.
Absolutely.
And it was like, I'm a highly driven person. I move, fast, go, go, go. Always figuring out how it can be done better and more efficiently, and all of that, and always analyzing that, and all those kinds of things, and just going at warp speed constantly. And one thing that this has taught me and has impacted myself and others in my life, and especially my family, where, I'm a go, 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 go guy, and I come home and I'm so tired, I just have nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm go, 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 but I'm here in the house. I'm working, I'm definitely working. But it's like, when the workday's done, how much have I left for my family?
Right.
This has really helped me figure out a better way to balance that.
Right.
Now, how can I reserve some energy, or have like a special fuel tank that I can flip the switch, like on our old 1960 something or other VW Bug. There's a little floor switch, you could flip the switch, and there's a little gas left that you could go for a little while. So I'm trying to figure out like where that little switch is, so I could flip that switch and have more energy,
right,
for my family and my friends, of course, as well. So it's that's something that this has taught me, personally.
I think that, that's the misconception that a lot of people get from highly driven people like you and I are, and very positive all the time. They don't realize that the energy that we are putting out and expelling every day, that at some point the tank gets a little empty or a little low. And it's usually when we're at home with our families that need us the most. So I totally get what you're saying, that trying to find that balance or that time that you shift that energy and it's focused on your family. That's been something that I've been working on too, because at 5 o'clock when I get home, it's easy for me to just keep on, I'm on the computer, I'm on the phone. And then I realize how much of that time that I've taken away from spending with my husband or my friends, or just picking up the phone, or, doing FaceTime with them, because the focus is so much on building this part that I'm forgetting that this part needs nurturing also. So I'm kind of trying to find that too, that balance.
Right, thank you for that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me do a time check here. So we're right at 1:15. So sometimes we have a couple little minutes or something if there's more that we want to talk about or say. Trying to see if something's coming to my mind. I just appreciate your honesty, Christi.
Thank you. I just appreciate our friendship. I think that meeting you so many years ago, that was such a blessing and a treasure to me. And I have just been in awe at everything that you've accomplished in the 12 years that I've known you, and the beautiful family that you have and friends, and you're just a genuine person.
Thank you.
Lord, here we go. Woo, getting
Where's my kerchief? That's nice. I mean, and Christi, I mean, we've known each other for 12 years, but, we haven't really, it takes a live event for us to really be soulful and true to our heart, which is interesting, so it's nice. I really appreciate you being here today.
Yes.
And given this really gentle touch of sincerity that's from the heart. And I think that's the other thing that I think, this reset has brought us, is it's brought us this opportunity to have more time so our brain and our subconscious can work in a more healthy way.
Yes.
So that we see and realize things differently than pre-COVID.
Absolutely.
And I think so many people talk about how, the world's going to be totally different after COVID. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, oh, we'll get back to everything. And a lot of people are saying, I hope it doesn't get back to the way it was.
Yeah.
And, you hear all these different, case scenarios that people are saying. And I'm kind of like, I really want to make sure that I pay attention to, how I'm going to operate my day and what I'm going to put into it, and how what my expectations are, and do I need to run around that much, or, whatever that is.
I think it's allowed us to be vulnerable too, because we've been in such a crisis situation over these past couple of months, and we all are experiencing it on different levels. But our friendships and the relationships that we have with others, I think that this has allowed us to drop some of our mask away and be vulnerable, and just because we've got that time and say, look, I'm really overwhelmed with this, or whatever, or we do like we do, and we're just like, we just get together, we're just laughing, and then we're 1 minute we're crying, and then we're because that's friendship, it's all the emotions, but it's such an amazing journey that we have. And I think just having that time to realize how precious life is, and how precious the relationships are.
Yeah, I said something I'm touching my clock over here so I can see it. I said something to somebody I work with this morning who's like real busy and couldn't get me what he needed. And, we were just talking. I said, I really just want to talk it through and see what you say. And, just tell me your professional opinion. And he was like, I'm really, really sorry. I wanted to do this and I couldn't get to it. I said, look, I trust you.
Right.
That's what you say is true. I said, that's all I needed. I said, all we have are our experiences today.
That's right.
I'm grateful that I have the day to be here today.
That's right.
So all we have is that experience and the day that we're in.
That's right.
And he goes, thank you so much for that, he said this morning. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it's, I don't think I would have said that before.
Right.
But, one takeaway I want to take away from today is just to be there for your friends and people you work with and people you don't know.
That's right. Be kind. Just be kind.
Yeah. Yeah. I love maybe ending on that note.
I love you.
There we go. Something like that. So, what awesome. So thank you so much for joining us today for Optimistic Opportunities. Next week, we're going to have a good friend of mine, Tracey Reynolds. I knew her when I was at Durham Magazine as well. She's an actress and she works at Duke now also. And she is also one of those people that are just super duper positive and pushes through and finds that good in something, but also doesn't forget to recognize that there's also hard things happening.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Christi, and tune in next week at 1 o'clock for Optimistic Opportunities with Tracey Reynolds and Carl Johnson. And that's Q out. So y'all have an awesome day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.